Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of my Making Hogwarts series. You already saw the title, so you know that despite what I said in the first episode about how I only use Datapacks and that is the only thing I'll use ever, I am using plugins now. There's a lot of downsides and upsides to using plugins and Datapacks. And I will continue making Datapacks for most other things I make because it's much more accessible and you don't need to create a server for it. Right now I'm actually playing in a server that I created. And let me show you what I've done so far with the plugin. So I've added this command called /Hogwarts where you can get an item, block, or summon an entity. So far there's only items, and then wand. So it has the same randomness of the previous wands in the lore, as in the wand woods, the wand core, wand length, and wand springiness. But these wands have some different tags and data. First of all, the only spell you have, even though it says red sparks, is these blue particles and an explosion, because that's the first thing I came up with, and it works, so I'll be applying the same principles to the rest of the spells. Also, you'll see that when I punch, it'll say 0 in the chat here. And that's because it just says when you punch what spell you're currently selecting, and Red Sparks is the 0th spell, or the first spell. And the /Hogwarts command also had a few complex parts to it, since you'll see like when you type something it filters, which it's a pretty small feature, but it took a decently long period of time. Now I'm going to open up a compare and contrast chart and then some pros and cons charts for Datapacks and plugins. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Datapacks. So the pros of Datapacks are that they're relatively easy to learn. You could probably do it. Well, I mean, the commands aren't too complex, and there are many generators that you can use to do it. Also, they don't really require special software. All you need is just any text editor, which I'm pretty sure all devices have installed. Though I don't think you wouldn't be able to access these files on certain devices if they don't allow you to open other file types, specifically .mc function files. There's a lot of features that are pretty easy to implement. I mean, if you know what you're doing, which are world generation, advancements, crafting, and just overriding vanilla features, because they're pretty much just already in the Datapack format. Certain items, custom items, are very simple, like TNT arrows, lightning arrows, I don't know, any arrows, and a lot of other features you can add pretty simply. And they can work, more importantly, they can work in both single player and in multiplayer. Now, the issues with them are that they're unlikely to work with other Datapacks, because the scoreboards are likely to collide with their names. If you don't implement them perfectly, or almost perfectly, then people who want to beat your game really quickly or find bugs, it's not going to be too hard for them. There's no NBT crafting. It gets laggy pretty quickly, even if you don't have too many features. The code can get pretty messy, and you're going to have a lot of files depending on how you do it. There's not a lot of manipulation for players at all. And GUI manipulation is really annoying. You could do custom inventories, but it's really hard to use. And raycasts that you do, which are useful in a lot of situations, like getting what block you're looking at and things like that, are pretty inefficient. Now for plugins, the pros are that it's not too hard to learn, whereas Datapacks are pretty easy. I think because the names of things are already things you would just hear a lot of in vanilla, you could kind of figure it out, and the code formatting isn't something crazy too. There's also an entire website about it, made by Spigot itself. It is pretty likely to work with other plugins because generally the plugin things in data have the namespace of that plugin. It's really hard to break it. Like if you cancel an event where you broke a block, for example, which is how I did in my previous intro, how I broke a block and then placed it back. If you were to stand on that, it would actually lag you back, so you wouldn't be falling through the block. The raycasts are great, not racasts. It has pretty easy custom GUIs, and you can manipulate every aspect of the player. I'm pretty sure there's NBT crafting, although it's pretty hard to get. And you can detect pretty much every type of event or interaction with the player, world, or mobs, or things like that. Now, the issues with it is that it requires a special text editor of some kind, and special server software. And it's pretty difficult to make custom world generation, if even possible. Advancements, crafting, overriding vanilla features is somewhat difficult. Just depends what feature you're trying to cancel. And loot tables are a bit annoying. And the big issue is that it requires a server. So now comparing the two, accessibility, it's like Datapacks are extremely accessible and they can be used almost any time, anywhere. Versus plugins who actually need a server. Datapacks are much easier to learn how to make than plugins. Finding tools for Datapacks is pretty simple. There's at least 4 or 5 websites I can think of that just provide excellent tools for it. Now, on lag standards, which is very important for generally multiplayer and less single player, Datapacks are way less efficient, almost no matter what you do. And the complexity versus how much you can actually create is Datapacks are pretty complex, but don't let you create too much. Although you can learn how to make them pretty easily, they still are complex to make. Like things that would be slightly difficult for plugins would be really hard for Datapacks. And with plugins, the complexity is pretty much the same for almost anything, and you can create almost anything. Datapacks are also much easier to share than plugins, because when you're sharing a plugin with somebody, you also have to explain how to create a server, give them they have to download themselves the server software as well. And there are mandatory tools for plugins, whereas for Datapacks there's pretty much no mandatory tools. And specific features that are implemented in Datapacks include world generation, crafting, predicates, advancements, functions. Maybe I'm missing something, probably. And for plugins, there's not really a specific feature that I could say is implemented already, because pretty much every feature is implemented. You just can't exactly, it's not like a mod where you could add actual items or entities. You still have to do it in a slightly complex way, but combined with the texture pack, you could pretty much do anything. So that's the end of the video. I hope this explained why I'm now using plugins instead of Datapacks, and I will probably upload something about wands next week, depending on how far I've gotten.